Yo, what's up? Today we're talking about social media. Hip hip hooray. The last few videos have been more chill, informative, maybe even a little depressing, but not today. Today we're going balls to the walls, nuts to huts, sacks to shacks. A bit more of a satirical video, but I have some good points I want to share too about the topic. So it's mostly going to be from an artist slash writer's perspective, but I think most of what I'm going to say is going to apply to most people that have any sort of experience with social media in general. So if you came here for advice on social media, like how to grow, how to advance your career, you're asking the wrong person. This is going to be about social media in general. For anyone who struggles with posting, might have a difficult relationship with social media, that kind of thing. I got into social media around the beginning of 2023, maybe late 2022, to share my art online. That was like 3 years after I started drawing. Those first 3 years of me drawing, it was bliss. I didn't have to share any of my stuff. I was just learning and improving. Wasn't worried about anyone's opinion other than my immediate family, who I asked for feedback, and that was about all I needed at the time. And then just watching tutorials and stuff as I grew, that was such a different time. But yeah, after those 3 years were over, I was like, hey, I need to start sharing my stuff. It's about time. I started with Reddit, and then I did Instagram, and then later, Twitter, Discord, Threads, Blue Sky, Pixiv, Kara, YouTube. Now YouTube. Also, prior to 2023, I rarely, and I mean rarely, ever posted anything online. I don't have or use any personal accounts, where people post pictures of themselves or going on a vacation or family gatherings, hanging out with friends, that kind of thing. I never did that, really. I did have an Instagram account, a personal one, back when I was in middle school, but yeah, stopped using it after that. I did use Snapchat with friends in high school and stuff. A few years after that too, but I don't use that anymore. And then YouTube, I watched YouTube videos as a kid, as a teenager. I mean, who didn't? I mean, YouTube's cool, dude. YouTube's sick. Most of the time. Also, up until I was 15 years old, I had hardly any internet access growing up. The only time I did was when I was at my dad's job, where he had a computer, and that was the only time I could ever do anything, look up something. I had a phone when I was I think I got my first phone when I was 13, but I had such little data usage allowed on it, and it was 10 gigabytes a month or something. That was nothing. So I was rarely ever able to actually look up anything when I needed something. I just didn't think about it. I didn't share anything online. When I was at my dad's job on the computer, I'd just look up YouTube videos and stuff about games I was obsessed with at the time, at whatever point in time it was, as a kid. That was all I did. So I never thought about social media, ever, about sharing anything. Of course, my peers, in middle school and high school, a lot of them had Instagrams and Snapchat where they were really active on it, and I didn't really take part in it that much. I just wasn't interested. Honestly, I think in hindsight, it was probably a good thing that I didn't have a lot of internet exposure as a kid and early teenager, honestly. But I am where I am now, partly because I didn't have that experience. I feel a lot of people my age have a lot more experience with sharing stuff and being comfortable with that. and I just don't. Which is kind of what I'm working on now. You know, I said this was going to be a satirical video, and here I am getting mushy again. I'm going to shut that up. Alright, so I want to give like some brief thoughts about each platform that I have experience with so far up to this point. And it's been almost 3 years since I've started posting and sharing stuff online, so I've learned a lot. And I'm not going to talk about Facebook or TikTok because I have little to no experience with any of those. I've never had a Facebook. I have a TikTok account, but I have an accumulative total of about 10 minutes probably in my entire life that I've used it, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, I want to start with Reddit, because that was like the first one that I did, because that's kind of where you have to start, honestly, because Reddit's like one of the only platforms that I know of, besides maybe Facebook, and I don't use that does not have an algorithm. So when you post there, people who don't follow you are going to see your stuff, guaranteed. You know, it's not like a following type place, right? It has kind of an algorithm, but not really. But yeah, it has, you know, specific communities for like webtoons and manga stuff, and that's kind of where I started. Also, if you make fan art, then you have plenty of subreddits where you can share your fan art there and grow that way. But yeah, Reddit's a good place to start, I think. But it's, you know, at a certain point, it has less of a use. And that's usually when you start growing on the other platforms. Yeah, now let's talk about the two big ones. We got Instagram, you know, which is for the normal people, and then we have Twitter, which is for the crack babies. So obviously, as you could probably already tell, I prefer Instagram. I like the profile layout. I like the post format there. I just like the more image-oriented posting on there. You know, I'm an artist. That's kind of what I'm on social media for. So there's a lot of features on Instagram that I don't really use that much, like the notes or whatever. Like, I don't see the point in that. Stories is pretty cool. I don't post on there as much as I probably should. But yeah, I mean, the main thing I like about it is just the profile layout. Like, if you have like clean art, then your profile page is gonna look sick. That's like the main thing I like about it. That's something I wish Twitter had. You know, it has the photos tab, which, you know, it's useful on like when you use it on desktop, but on mobile it just sucks. Also, I miss the old hashtag system on Instagram. Like, beginning of 2023, like right after I first started using it again, like they freaking ruined it, dude. They made hashtags useless, which kind of sucked. But it is what it is. It's different now. There's also Reels. I don't really scroll Reels unless they show up on my homepage. I try not to fall into that constant scrolling loop of brain rot. But yeah, I don't scroll Reels. So yeah, overall, Instagram's pretty alright. You grow there by posting Reels. Guess what I don't do? Yeah, I don't post Reels because I'm special. Yeah, I really should post more Reels than I do. But I don't really know what I can make for video form other than like super high quality edits that will take a lot of time and energy that I don't have. So yeah. Alright. Next one. Twitter. Woohoo! So fun. Okay, a long story short, Twitter's the worst one. I hate it. Anyone who knows me probably knows that I hate it. First thing I want to say, the only positive thing I like about it is the reposting. I do like that. But some people repost. They spam repost stuff. It's so annoying. The feed on Twitter is so overwhelming. It is terrible. Like, I scroll for like 10 seconds, and I'm like, dude, what is all of this? Get this out of my face. Also, the reply system. Why are replies fucking posts? Why do they count as posts? That is so stupid. I hate that. It clutters the feed even more. Whenever someone replies to something, like someone who I follow replies to something that I've already seen, it just shows up in my feed again. Like, why is that a thing? Let's see. Also, people on there are so comfortable posting the most stupid, useless stuff. I think I'm just a big hater. But honestly, some of you are my friends who might be watching this. Some of you post stuff on this app that makes me stare at my phone. You know, like the Tanjiro meme where he stares at his phone like that? Dude, that's me. Like, some of you do not think before you post shit on there. It is crazy. But yeah. It's like that everywhere, honestly. People post bull crap stuff, but it's like the worst on Twitter, and it's so bad. It's so bad. Also, some people post so many things in a single day, like every day. Like, I'm sorry, but if you post more than 5 things a day on Twitter, you're getting muted. I do not care whether I like you or not. You're posting too much. I'm sorry. It doesn't really matter anymore now, because I'll be honest, I don't really scroll Twitter anymore. And you already know why. I low-key just don't care about it anymore. Like, as of recording this, I haven't really been active on it in like a few weeks. So, yeah, Twitter's lame. Get out of here. Yeah, and I always hear like Twitter's like the best app for like community and like talking to people, and people who say that have never used Discord. Like, dude, Discord's like better in every single way for that exact reason. So yeah, I'll talk about Discord next. Discord's pretty cool, not gonna lie. As long as you stick to the smaller communities. For me personally, I just like it when the communities consist of like 15 people or less. That's just me. You know, shout out these servers here. I'll put them on the screen. These servers are goated. These people in here are cool. I'm not as active as I used to be on Discord because I'm just locked in on the webtoon right now. But let me tell you, when I feel like talking to somebody, Discord's there. It's cool. It's chill. It's just great for having actual conversations, especially in like voice chat. It is kind of the best place I feel like to actually get to know like fellow people with like similar interests and stuff. I'm gonna talk about some more platforms. I don't think they're as prevalent, so I'm not gonna talk about them as much. But yeah, first one, I'm gonna talk about Threads a little bit. When it first came out, it was booming. I actually enjoyed it when it first came out. It was like Twitter but better, because the algorithm was like actually pushing my stuff, and that was part of it. But I also like the layout a little bit more. The reposting, I don't think it was as satisfying as like Twitter, but it was cool. But I don't really use it or scroll on it anymore. There's Blue Sky. At the time that it came out, I was super burnt out with social media. I think I was on like my break, so I didn't really take advantage of it when it came out. So I used it a little bit, and I also don't use it that much anymore. And there's Kara. Really nothing to say about it other than I do think it's kind of a cool portfolio app, because I think the portfolio system on there is pretty cool. There's Pixiv. This app has like the best art that I've ever seen, just everywhere. A lot of fan art here too, so if you have fan art to share, this would be a good one. Really good place for finding inspiration. The only bad thing I have to say about it is the amount of 18 plus material on there. I think you can disable it, which is good, but yeah, just be aware of what you're getting into when you go on Pixiv. Last platform that I'm going to talk about, YouTube. Honestly, the best platform as a consumer. It's the one that I use the most as a consumer. And as a creator, I like YouTube because I feel like I can be more authentic compared to any of the other platforms like, you know, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Don't really care for YouTube Shorts, but it probably doesn't surprise anybody considering I don't use TikTok and I don't scroll Reels. So yeah, I just don't like short form content, brain rot content, etc. You know, I got nothing against brain rot stuff. To a certain extent, there's like a certain level of it where I'm just like, dude, how is this even humorous? It's just random crap now. Like if you think about like 3 years ago, like I don't know if any of you remember like the Quantail Tingle video, but those were actually funny. But now some of them are just so bad, and then you got like AI mixed in with it, and it's just like, what am I even watching, dude? How is this funny? Anyway, kind of a side note. But yeah, final thoughts. Social media is a beautiful thing, and it has changed the world for the better in every way possible. We wouldn't be able to live without it. Okay. For real though, I honestly would not be on social media at all if I didn't feel like I need to be in order to get anywhere in the career that I want to pursue. Unfortunately, I need to share my stuff online to get anywhere because there's like anywhere near me that has any sort of like opportunity for publishing or exposure, like anywhere local. So my only option is sharing online. If I was not an artist or a creative person trying to find success, widespread success in any sort of capacity, I would be off the grid. I would not be sharing anything. I would just be living my life. And I don't have to show it to anybody. I do not care. But as a creative who wants to live off of their creativity, you know, I kind of have to share it, right? So here I am. Yeah, a lot of the time I really hate being on social media. I'll be honest. It is draining. It is exhausting. Not only because of coming up with things to post and all that. That's not that bad. But for me, it's keeping up with all of your peers. Like, the longer you use social media, the more people you know, the harder it gets to keep up with everybody. And especially in the early stages when you're not really well known, it's like your only option for growth is just continuously interacting with people. You know, you start to learn pretty quick that people won't interact with you or your stuff or any of the things you post if you don't interact with theirs. And, you know, you kind of just have to learn to be okay with that. It does expose the people who like genuinely like your stuff and the people who are only reciprocating because they get something in return, like it's transactional, which is just bound to happen. Unfortunately, you can't be friends with 500 people that you're following. Like, you just can't. Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, the other thing is addiction. You know, you gotta moderate your use of it. It is really hard to discipline yourself sometimes to keep yourself off of social media and being addicted to, you know, whatever interaction you get from sharing. You know, you really gotta fine-tune that discipline and meet somewhere in the middle, you know. It's easy to get caught up. It's easy to get caught up with, you know, numbers, how many likes you get, amount of followers you have. But to be honest, no one really cares that much. No one cares about those numbers as much as you do. And the other thing is comparison. Like, it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, you know. And they always say comparison is the thief of joy. But that's so much easier said than done. Like, you know, you see somebody who, you know, maybe posts things at the same time that you do, post things the same way that you do. And let's say, like, your art is, like, the same level, and for some reason they do better. And especially if they actually are better than you in terms of skill, then it's really hard to not go like, what am I doing wrong? You know, not knowing that you're not really as skilled as you think you are. But yeah, it's really hard not to compare yourself. It's much easier said than done. Yeah, it's a learned skill, trying not to be, you know, jealous of others, you know, especially if they're your friends, dude. Like, if they're doing well, hype them up. You know, you don't have to, you know, suck their toes or whatever, but, you know, be happy for them. One thing I really hate, though, it grinds my gears, is when people follow me. Most of this happened like a long time ago, like when I was still new to social media. Like when people would follow me, I'd be like, oh, they like my stuff. I follow them back because they also draw and whatever, and then they unfollow me. I'm like, oh, okay. And I've experienced that enough times where it's to the point where, like, if someone follows me and I don't already know them, I'm not following them back unless I like really like their stuff. Like, I might get hate for that, but hey, I ain't playing that fucking game anymore. I'm just saying. You know, if you follow me and I don't already know you, hit me up and let me get to know you. That's all I'm gonna say. Otherwise, I'm doing my own thing. Another thing, sometimes I feel guilty, like if I post more often than I usually do, because I feel like I'm adding to the oversaturation of content that's on the internet, and I feel guilty about it sometimes, which is honestly irrational. It's stupid. But yeah, sometimes I feel that way. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. But yeah, there's so much stuff on the internet now. I know it sounds like I really hate social media, and honestly, I kind of do. But if anything, I actually really appreciate a lot of the opportunities, a lot of the friends that I've made, the connections I've established because of it. You know, I've met some really cool people. Without it, I don't think I've had a lot of the opportunities and like minor successes that I have had up to this point, like ranking on NPC last year. Not that NPC really means anything now, let's be honest. But also qualifying for Viz Media portfolio reviews. That was pretty cool. If I wasn't networking with people, I never would have even known about it. So yeah, I think it's important, honestly, for anyone who's trying to achieve something, whether it's online or offline, honestly, to experience social media in its entirety, the ins and outs of it, the pains and pleasures of it, both on a consumption and creation point of view, like both sides, because it does help you grow and expose your flaws. It forces you to make mistakes and learn from them, and you learn more about yourself and what you need to improve on. As for me, like, I want to improve my skills with, you know, networking more eventually. Getting over my hatred of social media. You know, I just post without fear or worrying too much. You know, I'm still kind of working on, even now, my voice, and by voice I mean like how I want to present myself online. I'm still not fully satisfied with how I'm presenting myself with my art. It doesn't fully represent me quite yet, and the same goes for my story, Blood White. Speaking of, I should have shamelessly plugged this a long time ago, because I haven't been doing this in my other videos. But yeah, go read Blood White if you haven't already. No, it's action, fantasy, romance, that type of thing. It's quite saucy, if I do say so myself. You should go read it. Give me a review if you dare to. That would be really cool. But yeah, the more time goes on, the less I care so much about social media and how I'm like, there's no point in overthinking it. At the end of the day, it's just a tool to advance my career, advance your career, make connections, that sort of thing. All the other BS is a headache. It's not worth thinking too hard about. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you later.